I'm Tracy Sable. Tonight on EWTN News Nightly, demanding answers. Lawmakers react to the since withdrawn FBI document alleging there are extremists in the U.S. Catholic Church. Pro-abortion push. The vice president meets with abortion advocates at the White House. Food for thought. We speak with two women on an upcoming pro-life event. And not his type. Pope Francis has a message for a group he calls keyboard warriors. We'll explain. These stories and more tonight.
From EWTN, the Global Catholic Network, this is EWTN News Nightly.
Thank you for being with us. Our top story tonight is one that we have been following closely. Allegedly, the FBI used an undercover agent to target the clergy and leadership of the U.S. Catholic Church. That is according to a memo cited by House Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan. He is demanding answers from FBI Director Christopher Wray and has now issued him a subpoena. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales spoke with the congressman and joins us now with the latest. Eric.
Well, good evening, Tracy. It is really hard to believe. Congressman Jim Jordan tells me that his office learned of the FBI action from an agency whistleblower. He went on to say that the evidence came from a memo out of the Richmond, Virginia office, but was circulated throughout the department. Now the Ohio Republican says the actions were a violation of the First Amendment.
Just think about this past week, Sunday, that more Americans in church on Easter Sunday than probably any other Sunday of the year, there to celebrate the resurrection of our Savior, and to think that the FBI thought it was appropriate to have people inside the church while you're worshiping, while you may be talking to the priest, talking to your pastor.
Congressman Jim Jordan tells me he wants to see the unredacted version of the FBI memo. So what was the FBI looking for? Jordan says what agents called radical traditional Catholics.
But who they were going after were pro-life Catholics. Pro-life people in the Catholic Church. You can tell because some of the footnotes talk about in the aftermath of the Dobbs decision.
The Ohio Republican doubts his committee would have found out about this, much less stop it without the whistleblower's help. Just a month ago, Attorney General Merrick Garland testified that the DOJ has no anti-Catholic bias.
Attorney General, are you cultivating sources and spies in Latin Mass parishes and other Catholic parishes around the country?
No, the Justice Department does not do that. It does not do investigations based on religion. I saw the document you have.
What did you do about
it? It's appalling.
This week, Senator Josh Hawley sent a letter to Merrick Garland accusing the Attorney General of misleading lawmakers and is demanding answers. I contacted the FBI. The agency tells me it, quote, received the subpoenas and remains fully committed to cooperating with Congress's oversight requests. The agency then referred me to comments Director Wray made before Congress on March 8th.
We do not and will not target people for religious beliefs, and we do not and will not monitor people's religious practices. That's not acceptable.
Congressman Jordan says, bottom line, the FBI's actions show a pattern, from parents being called domestic terrorists at school board meetings to pro-lifers like Mark Holk being arrested after the Dobbs decision.
So when you really step back and look at it, it's basically, if you're a pro-life parent who's Catholic, it looks like you're being focused on here.
It is important to note that I did contact Bishop Barry Nestout out of the Richmond, Virginia diocese, where, according to the FBI memo, FBI agents were undercover inside of his churches. Now, he called the leaked memo troubling and offensive to all communities of faith, and he says that it is a threat to religious liberties. I'll stay on top of this important issue at the Capitol. Eric Rosales, EWTN News Nightly.
The White House is proposing a new federal rule designed to protect the medical records of women who leave their home states to seek abortions elsewhere. Vice President Kamala Harris met with cabinet members to discuss this proposal. White House correspondent Owen Jensen reports. Owen?
The White House is moving on multiple fronts to maintain and expand abortion access. For example, trying to codify Roe v. Wade. Also going to court to keep mifepristone on the market. And tonight, proposing a rule to limit the sharing of personal medical information.
In the Roosevelt Room, Vice President Kamala Harris sits down with top administration officials.
We are having an experience where the women of America in particular have been in a state of fear.
If a woman travels to another state to get an abortion, the White House wants to ensure healthcare organizations cannot share their personal medical records with law enforcement. But pro-life group Live Action reposted a video of one woman's regret after taking abortion pills.
Looking back on it, I can't believe that I did that. I can't believe I put my body through that, or I risked all those things. It was scary and it was traumatizing. It was the worst thing I've ever done.
Meanwhile, overseas, President Joe Biden meets with the UK Prime Minister in Northern Ireland before giving a speech about the importance of the Good Friday Agreement.
In the Holy Easter season, this season, when all Christians celebrate renewal and life, the Good Friday Agreement showed us that there is hope for repair.
The U.S. brokered the deal 25 years ago to bring peace to an area plagued by sectarian violence.
But the lesson of the Good Friday Agreement is this: in times when things seem fragile or easily broken, that is when hope and hard work are needed the most.
After his brief stop in Northern Ireland, President Biden then traveled next door to Ireland to begin a 3-day visit. He'll address the Dublin Parliament, attend a gala dinner, and visit 2 ancestral hometowns. At the White House, Owen Jensen, EWTN News Nightly.
Police in Louisville, Kentucky have released body camera footage from Monday's deadly shooting. The video shows the 25-year-old as he killed 5 people and wounded nearly a dozen others. His family says the man had dealt with depression. They expressed sadness for the victims' families and gratitude toward the police department. A memorial was held for the victims where mourners laid flowers in front of 5 hearts placed at the entrance of the bank. A top U.S. military hospital says that it is now reviewing its contract for Catholic pastoral care. Officials at Walter Reed National Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, did not renew the services of nearby Franciscan friars whose contract expired just before Holy Week. Instead, the hospital hired a secular for-profit group to provide Catholic pastoral care. The head of the Archdiocese for Military Services called the decision, quote, incomprehensible. Well, a recent report says enrollment in the nearly 6,000 Catholic schools in the United States has shown growth for the second consecutive year. According to the National Catholic Educational Association, there are now 1.69 million students in Catholic schools. That is an increase from the previous year's 1.63 million. That said, it is still short of pre-pandemic levels. We go now to Lincoln Snyder, President and CEO of the National Catholic Educational Association. Lincoln, great to have you with us today. So what do you think those numbers say? I mean, what does that say to you?
The numbers say that a lot of new families have discovered our Catholic schools. We saw a drop in enrollment and record numbers of people moving. And so people have moved from different places to new spots. They've been selecting Catholic education. And so we've seen not only a growth in our population, but a lot of new families that perhaps weren't as connected to the church or that are new to their area coming to our schools.
That's great. So with this record enrollment, that some are seeing, can you tell us, or do you happen to know, which parts of the country are doing well?
Indeed. So we're seeing the greatest growth by far in the Southeast. And so that would be the southeastern states plus Florida. They are nearly 2% above what our enrollment was in 2019. And so that not only have they recovered their numbers, but they've grown from pre-COVID. And so we think that reflects long-term trends in migration anyway. A lot of people moved from the Northeast and the Midwest to the Southeast and South. And so, our schools population change reflects that. We've also seen growth in the Plain States. Our Plain States schools are up a bit from 2019. So, we're seeing that our school trends reflects where people seem to be moving as families post-pandemic.
Yeah, that is great. And I know numbers are up, but not where it was before pre-pandemic. Can you gauge maybe, how the pandemic, what kind of impact that had on enrollment in Catholic schools, and also the state of the economy right now? Is that factoring into anything?
It is. We saw, again, a lot of families left Catholic schools immediately when the pandemic started. There was a lot of economic anxiety. Of course, for many families, the situation stabilized, but our population changed during that time. So enrollment's up, but a lot of these families are completely new to the Catholic educational system. We have record numbers of families who are not Catholic, for example, in our schools. We have 22% of our families in Catholic education, who are not Catholic right now. So that's a record number for us.
Yeah, and I guess what does that say about Catholic education, that you have people that aren't Catholic coming into Catholic schools?
We think that a lot of the families came to us because we were open, and so we provided schools that were open during the pandemic when most of their other options were closed, and so they saw us as an alternative to in-person education for their child. But our retention rates with these families, diocese to diocese, are well into the 90s. Anywhere from 92 to 98% of those families that came during the pandemic stayed even when they could have returned to the public school that they were at previously. The main reason that the families give for staying is that they fell in love with the community, with the teachers, and with the environment that our faith-based community schools create for their children.
That's incredible. We have about a minute or so left, but where do you see this trend going in the coming years, and where would you like to see it go?
First and foremost, we think this is a really unique opportunity for us to evangelize families. We have an open door to these families through Catholic schools to bring them closer to the Catholic Church. You know, we've seen the numbers about changes in the number of people who are mass-going Catholics. Our schools are really an entree into the hearts of these families. They've fallen in love with the communities and they're staying, and so we know that this is a real opportunity for us to evangelize. So they came, they fell in love with the schools, they're staying, and we hope that that's a way to bring them into the church. I am optimistic that we're going to be able to continue our growth. Again, we saw year-over-year growth, second year in a row. Academic data has come back from NAEP that our schools are really performing as the best system in the country, according to public school data, government data that's been collected about schools. And so we have a quality product, people love the community, and we are confident that Catholic schools have a tremendously positive reputation right now, post-pandemic.
Well, Lincoln, great to be with you. Thank you so much. Lincoln Snyder, President and CEO of the National Catholic Educational Association. Thank you again. A journalist in Nicaragua has been arrested for reporting on Holy Week. Multiple reports say the writer was detained after live streaming a religious event on Holy Thursday. The video has since been deleted. Freedom of the Press advocates are calling for the reporter's immediate release. While officials in Russia say a detained Wall Street Journal reporter is suspected of being a spy.
Видимо, они считают, что если они будут, как это называется, громче шуметь.
A foreign ministry spokeswoman refused to comment on whether the U.S. State Department has reached out regarding a possible release. More than 30 media outlets and press freedom groups have petitioned for the release. Well, officials in Ukraine say they are investigating a video that appears to show one of its soldiers being beheaded. Ukraine's leader said if the video is true, those responsible must be held accountable. The Kremlin called the video, quote, horrible, but added it has not been verified that the video is authentic. Meantime, Russia says that it has taken control of 3 parts of a major city in eastern Ukraine. And we have a lot more still to come here on EWTN News Nightly, including Lunch for Life. Learn more about an initiative on prayer and the unborn, and a new type of warrior. Pope Francis gives us an alternative for spending the day on the computer. Thanks for staying with us. Lawmakers in Nebraska are considering a measure to ban abortion once a baby's heartbeat is detected. Another proposal would ban it after 12 weeks. Today is the first of 3 rounds of debate in the Republican-controlled State House. Well, a federal judge in Texas recently ruled that the FDA should halt the approval of the abortion drug mifepristone, a decision that has been hailed by the pro-life movement. And also in Texas, preparations are underway for a major pro-life event. More than 1,000 people are expected to attend this year's National Prayer Luncheon for Life, both in person and online. The event celebrates pro-life groups. One organization will be named the winner of the 2023 Impact Award. 6 recipients will receive pro-life impact grants. Voting is currently open, and to do so, visit nationalprayerluncheonforlife.org. And joining me now is Karen Garnett, President of the National Prayer Luncheon for Life and Chief Culture Officer of Heroic Media, and Catherine Hadro, EWTN News contributor. Welcome to you both, ladies. Karen, I want to start with you quickly. Before we talk about the event, I want to get your thoughts on the Texas judge's ruling and what we have seen play out this week.
Yes. Hi. Thank you so much, Tracy. And hello, Catherine. So blessed and honored to be here. So first of all, we just like to say we applaud the federal judge out of Amarillo for the decision stating that mifepristone is unlawful. And yet it's only a partial victory because the abortion pill regimen is 2 pills, misoprostol and mifepristone. And mifepristone kills the child, and then misoprostol pushes the child out through the contractions. By only stating that mifepristone is unlawful, which both of them, the FDA made a terrible error with this back in the early 2000s when the FDA rushed through the approval of these 2 drugs to work together as abortion pills. And we need both of the pills to be declared unlawful to be able to protect the children. We've seen that the abortion industry is already moving toward misoprostol only abortions, chemical abortions, very, very dangerous because it's expelling the child before the child has died, and the mothers are experiencing the trauma of delivering children who are living. It's horrifying. So we're grateful, but it's a partial victory, and we need the complete victory.
And I know you'll be praying about that in Texas for the National Prayer Luncheon. Karen, talk to us more about that and why this event is so important, especially now.
Yes, thank you so much. So this National Prayer Luncheon for Life originated back in 2016. It was for Heroic Media, our company, a counter luncheon to Planned Parenthood's annual awards luncheon here in Dallas, Texas. It grew over the years, and by 2020, it changed the name to National Prayer Luncheon for Life after we had partnered with Abby Johnson and the Unplanned team in 2019. And we both outnumbered and outraised Planned Parenthood. We had 3,000 people in person and $1.8 million raised. And then the pandemic was announced 5 days later. And so our CEO of Heroic Media, Brett Atterbury, he had a new vision that the Holy Spirit gave him for going into 2021 when so much had turned to virtual. And that was that it was no longer going to be a fundraiser for us with a little bit of prayer, but truly an hour. We call it the Hour of Power prayer and celebration event, and now Pro-Life Impact Awards ceremony. And it is just amazing. This is our 3rd year to do it. Our mission at National Prayer Luncheon for Life is to elevate and celebrate high-impact pro-life organizations so that together we can accelerate winning more battles and ultimately winning the war to protect preborn lives from abortion. And it's just amazing that the thousands of people who are participating with us in this through the voting. The voting is determined by pro-lifers across the country on who gets the Pro-Life Impact Award and the top grant of $50,000, and then the subsequent grants of $20,000, $15,000, and 3 at $5,000.
That is incredible. Before we run out of time, we have about a minute so or left. I got to bring you in here, Catherine. You are emceeing this event. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is so wonderful. Tell us why you feel this is so important.
This is critical. You know, you mentioned that FDA ruling. This will be the first luncheon post-Dobbs. We're having these victories in the courts, but there is so much work to be done on the ground level, on the grassroots level. And these 6 nominees who are up for the award, for the Pro-Life Impact Award, they are doing that work. As Karen said, a goal of this is to elevate the pro-life movement. And we do that by granting $100,000 worth in grants next Friday, which again, for our viewers, go to nationalprayerlunctionforlife.org. Look at the nominees. You can vote once through this Saturday, the 15th. And this is the chance to support them, to elevate them. These nominees, range the gambit from pro-life medical doctors to pro-life apologetics to maternity homes. Now is the time to roll up our sleeves and support them so that we can really reach everyone when it comes to this battle.
So important. We have, honestly, maybe 20 or 10 seconds left. Really quickly, final thoughts.
We are a both and kind of faith. We believe in the power of action, but we believe in the power of prayer. And all action that we take when it comes to the pro-life movement must first flow from that prayer. Please join us for this hour of power. As Karen said, next Friday, set aside time to pray for the pro-life movement.
Absolutely, we will. Remind us on social media, too.
Yes, I will absolutely share that on social media. But again, nationalprayerlunctionforlife.org.
Okay, thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you so much, Karen. Ladies, we appreciate you being on today. All right, up next on EWTN News Nightly, a revelation to remember. We celebrate the anniversary of a Marian apparition in Rome. Plus, Pope Francis shares a message with a new type of warrior. Celebrations throughout the city of Rome today for an anniversary dedicated to the Blessed Virgin. On this day back in 1947, a Protestant who later said that he planned to assassinate the Pope saw the Blessed Virgin several times in Rome. She called herself the Virgin of Revelation, and her words caused him to convert to Catholicism. 9 years later, Pope Pius XII approved the construction of a chapel on the site, sometimes called Tre Fontaine, because it is near three fountains. Joining us now from Rome is Sister Emanuela Edwards, member of the Missionaries of Divine Revelation. Sister, great to have you with us today. Tell us a little bit more about today and what the celebrations are like.
Yes, I can say it's been a very exciting day. This is the 76th anniversary of the apparition of the Virgin of Revelation. 76 years ago, the Virgin Mary appeared in Rome to a Protestant and converted him. And so today we've had this wonderful celebration with thousands of people who've come to honour Our Lady in the place where she appeared. And in fact, there's so many people, we couldn't even enter the grotto where she appeared. We're outside here in the car park, as you can see from what surrounds us. And so today, in fact, exceptionally, they actually brought the statue of Our Lady that's been in the grotto since 1947 and placed her on the altar so that all the people could see her in all her glory, or see the image of her rather in all her glory today. And so it's been a beautiful Holy Mass, and also a beautiful reminder of this important apparition for the Church.
That is so incredible. If you don't mind, Sister, can you talk to us a little bit more about what happened back in 1947 and what more do we know about Our Lady's appearance and the man that she appeared to?
Yes, in 1947, Our Lady appeared to a Protestant, Bruno Cornacchiola, who was an anti-clerical. He hated the church, especially priests, and he had a plan to kill Pope Pius XII. On the 12th of April 1947, he was minding his children, and by chance, or by divine providence we could say, he missed the train to Ostia, and instead he came here to Tre Fontane. His children were playing ball and the ball went missing, and he found them kneeling in front of a grotto saying, "Beautiful lady, beautiful lady, beautiful lady." Bruno thought this was just a game, and he became a little bit annoyed. He tried to move his children, but they were like marble, and in the end he called out, he said, "God help us." And then it was as if two hands came towards him and removed the scale from his eyes, and he saw the beautiful lady. And she said, "I am the Virgin of Revelation. You persecute me. Come back to the pure fount of the gospel, which is the Catholic Church." Our Lady spoke to Bruno for an hour, and in the course of that hour she said many, many important things, and I think things that are important for us today.
Sister Emanuela, we're almost out of time, but before I let you go, can you talk to us about, how her message is still relevant for the faithful today, that message from back in 1947?
Yes, I think Our Lady's message is ever new and ever relevant, because of course Our Lady calls us to know our faith. She says, "I am the Virgin of Revelation." She appeared with a book in her hand, the Bible, and she calls us to know her Son ever more intensely and to follow the faith. And so I think in our days where very often there can be lots of confusion, she's like the star that leads us the way. And so with an intense life of prayer, devotion to the Eucharist, and also the knowledge of our faith, we can guide our way through the sometimes stormy waters in the Church.
Well, Sister Emanuela, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We really appreciate it. God bless you. Pope Francis says he has a message for a group he calls keyboard warriors.
Vi esorto a essere evangelizzatori che si muovono.
At his weekly address to pilgrims at the Vatican, the Holy Father says instead of spending time on a computer, people should get outside, get some exercise, and share the news that God loves everyone. Pope Francis adds that we cannot proclaim the message of God's love while sitting on social media arguing about politics. Very true. We thank you for watching tonight. And remember, you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at EWTN News Nightly. I'm Tracy Sable. Good night and God bless.